In much of the modern world, the ultimate goal of a career is to finally stop. We work for decades to reach a point where we can leave our obligations behind and just rest. But for many, the permanent loss of daily responsibilities triggers a rapid physical and mental decline. Psychologists even have a term for the early symptoms of this: Sunday neurosis. It's that familiar existential dread that creeps in on the weekend when the structure of the work week disappears, leaving an empty, uncomfortable void. But if you travel to Ogimimi, a rural town on the northern end of the Japanese island of Okinawa, that void doesn't exist. The locals don't even have a word for retirement in the sense of leaving the workforce for good. Instead, the residents here stay active, and they boast the highest life expectancy in the world. This chart shows life expectancy in the countries where people live the longest. Look at the top line, representing Okinawa. From 1960 through 2000, their population consistently outlived those in mainland Japan, Sweden, and the United States by a significant margin. The driving force behind this longevity is a concept called Ikigai. It translates roughly to the happiness of always being busy, or having a deep personal reason for getting out of bed in the morning. The inhabitants of Ogimi suggest that this unhurried, purpose-driven daily routine is the fundamental reason they remain active until the very end. The Okinawan day starts early, usually between 4 and 6 in the morning. But these centenarians aren't waking up to a jarring alarm clock. They get up because they are pulled out of bed by their Ikigai, whether that's tending to a vegetable garden, making wicker baskets, or practicing a craft. This diagram illustrates the components of Ikigai. When you engage in an activity that sits right here in the center, you enter a psychological state known as flow. You become completely immersed, losing track of time and the worries of the outside world. And as you integrate these outer elements, passion, mission, vocation, and profession, this mental state begins to dictate your physical state. It drives you toward constant, gentle movement. Instead of forcing themselves through strenuous, joint-damaging workouts at a gym, the residents of Ogimi are simply continuously active throughout their normal daily routines. This constant, low-intensity activity has a profound physiological effect. It prevents the progressive distortion of telomeres in the immune system, which are the protective caps on our DNA that naturally shorten as we age. A youthful, adaptable mind driven by purpose naturally guides the body into the kind of sustainable, lifelong physical engagement required to protect these cellular structures. When it's time to eat, the approach to food is governed by an ancient practice called Hara Hachi Bu. The rule is simple: stop eating when your stomach is about 80% full. This philosophy shapes the entire Ikigai diet. It involves moderate caloric restriction, occasional fasting for 1 or 2 days a week, like fresh vegetables, rich oily fish, and green tea, rather than empty calories. This animation shows the primary biological mechanism at work. Consistently eating slightly fewer calories than the body asks for significantly reduces levels of a protein called IGF-1, or insulin-like growth factor 1. An excess of this protein in the blood is directly responsible for accelerating the aging process in human cells. There is also a secondary benefit. By never eating to maximum capacity, you prevent your body from having to expend massive amounts of internal energy just on digestion, which avoids the cellular lethargy and wear-down common in Western diets. Consistent caloric restriction forces the body into a highly efficient anti-inflammatory state that preserves vitality well past the century mark. As the day winds down, the focus shifts to a psychological necessity known as the moai. These are the strong, deeply cohesive social networks forged within the village. Their evening habits revolve entirely around these connections. They spend time visiting neighbors, having unhurried conversations over tea, and often singing karaoke together to solidify their community ties. This graph illustrates how a stoic, optimistic attitude impacts the endocrine system. By avoiding conflict and nurturing friendships, stress hormones like cortisol drop to near zero, while melatonin levels are allowed to rise smoothly as the evening progresses. This natural production of melatonin, which they preserve by avoiding alcohol, caffeine, and anxiety late in the day, is a critical anti-aging ally. It allows the brain and body to enter the deep, restorative sleep cycles required for survival. Robust social bonds act as a biological shield, lowering daytime anxiety and preparing the body for the deep cellular repair of sleep. Longevity in Okinawa emerges from a frictionless alignment of mind, body, and environment. This balance is maintained by a few actionable rules: stay active, take life slowly, eat to 80% capacity, and surround yourself with good friends. This lifestyle doesn't feel like a forced regimen when organically fueled by a personal Ikigai. When you have a clear purpose, caring for your physical health becomes a joyful necessity, ensuring you can continue the work you love. Life is not a problem to be solved. Finding your Ikigai provides motivation to keep going, making the journey to 100 years a pursuit worth choosing every single morning.